Hello and welcome, guys, to Sound of Manchester. This is your host Prathamesh, and for the first time, here we are doing our first video podcast. Along with me is Vishnu, Kushagr, Anuraag, Naved, and Shubham. Well, it's a huge cast member which we have with us, but we have a very small yet very interesting topic in front of us. That is the player of the season so far. A lot of people having a lot of views all over the internet, and it's been exciting to see a few players probably overperform to what we expected them at the start of the season. A few players have let us down, but overall, I think the season has progressed quite well. As you could see in our previous episode, the revival, we talked about our season so far, and now we're going to talk about the player of the season who we feel is probably the best player so far in this season. I'm going to start with Vishnu. Welcome to Sound of Manchester. This is your debut episode,
Yeah,
and
great to be here.
yeah, and I would like to
So,
know
yeah.
probably your one or two players pick for the player of the season.
Well, for the entire season, I would go with our own Spider, Wan Bissaka. He's literally all over the pitch. The way he just, runs for the ball, it's like his pace, his intent is quite visible. That intent was something which I would say was lacking for quite some time. People would be like, okay, fine, the ball's there, like I'm not going to reach it anyway, so let me not even try. So I've seen that happen over the course of the past few years. But then Wan Bissaka shows that intent, even if he knows he can't reach the ball, but then that intent is still there, and his skills, like even when he was at Palace, was there. But then once he's here, he's actually added a lot of motivation. But then if we talk about just the second half, let's say just 2020, of course, hands down, it's Bruno.
So, so basically, you have a pick between Aaron Wan Bissaka and half season, probably not even a half season, couple of months of Bruno
Yeah.
Fernandes. No doubt, I think he's changed a lot of things. It was amazing to see Bruno, but Wan Bissaka, the spider, he's been brilliant. I honestly feel Raheem Sterling doesn't want to see him ever again, but that is for us to judge later.
Open
I
to
move on
interpretation.
to
Yeah.
our Gary Neville. Just we talking about right backs, and we have our own Gary Neville and Kushagr Dixit. So, Kushagr, player of the season, any choices which you have? Or do you feel that, no, it's just got to be Gary Neville of the old, there's no such player in this team right now. I'm just going to go with the old fashioned Gary Neville. I don't want a new player now.
You're gonna make a meme out of me. That's definitely happening, and even we might not have that big of viewership right now, but I think this is gonna stick. This Gary Neville thing. That's not true, guys. Gary Neville. I mean, just look at me. Anyway, so yeah. So when we talk about the player of the season, I think Vishnu is pretty much bang on there because it's very difficult to go for anyone else apart from Van Bissaka because you can count on your fingers the number of bad matches or bad halves that he's had, and it's not been that many. He's been very consistent all throughout the season. We expected him to be consistent because he came with a big reputation and a decent, a good price tag. Considering the amount that players are going for, 50 million is not that bad. But if you had to go for someone apart from Van Bissaka, I felt Rashford was really unlucky to get injured because I really felt with 19 goals in up until like the first 2-3 days of January, I think he could have hit at least 25, maybe 30 goals this season, and that would have been a world class season. I mean, without doubt, a world class season. So if you had to go, if we are doing this half and half, then maybe Van Bissaka and Rashford are in contention for the first half of the season, and I would say Rashford would edge him just because Rashford is an attacking player and probably is more decisive in games as compared to Van Bissaka. But it's very tough to look beyond Van Bissaka. As for Vishnu's second option, Bruno is a massive, wonderful piss take. The fact that he made it into BBC's Team of the Year, I mean, it just shows what is BBC's Team of the Year. I mean, what the hell? He just had can't even, I think he had 5 Premier League appearances and he's made it into the season's team. And I think Phil Jones had more appearances off the bench. So that's just my that's just my 2 bits there. So I don't think Bruno's fantastic, and I hope I one of the reasons I want football to come back is to watch Bruno, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, and Dan James. Though Dan James is really good on FIFA, huh? So Dan James play. So let's see how that goes. But as far as player of the season is, I can't really disagree with Vishnu. It has to be Van Bissaka. Um, Harry Maguire could be a good shout as well for some people. He's been good after getting the armband. So, yeah.
Yeah, you'll. I personally like Harry myself, so yeah, I'm probably gonna give my player of the season choices at the end. I'm just probably gonna hear what you guys have to say first, and then judge for myself whether you guys are right or whether I am right. But anyway, now we go right from Delhi to Holland, and from Holland we have Naved with us. So Naved, talking about players from Holland, we've had some really good players.
Yeah.
None really, apart from Fosu Mensah, are in the squad right now. But we have some very good players this season. And who
That's
do you think makes your list?
so. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so the season's kind of been like a transition, and for me, I would say the two players who really looked like those two who could take us into the next phase, like turn our team into a better team, who look really up to the task, would be Van Bissaka and Rashford. Rashford this season has shown promise that we've had with him for so long. This season he's actually shown that he can turn into a truly world class goal scorer, and I hope that next season we can see more of him. Other than Rashford, is the clear choice is Van Bissaka, because he's been an absolute beast at right back. He's taken that position, he's made it his own. I remember when Mourinho signed Dalot last season, he said we have a right back for the next 10 years. I don't think so. I don't think Dalot is going to be a right back for the next 10 years, because I think Wan Bissaka has come in, he's made that position his own. And I think he's a good shot for the England right back as well. So, yeah, for me, those two would be my player of the season shout outs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. Difficult to argue with that. Now, coming back from Holland to India, and to India, we go straight into the capital of biryanis in India, which is Hyderabad. And from Hyderabad, we have Anurag, who just few minutes back celebrated his dad's birthday. Probably just has a taste of cake in his mouth even now. But from there, from the chocolate cake which you had to probably picking the team of the season for the player of the season, Anurag, do you feel it's that easy for you to eat a chocolate cake, or is it easy for you to pick a player of the season considering the kinds of ups and downs you have had in the season?
I mean, if I had a choice, I'd rather eat chocolate cake for the rest of the day. But nevertheless, so for me, I think it's a. I don't think a lot of people would agree with this pick, and it's fine. It is slightly biased, I would say, but I would go with Fred. So one of the reasons why I'm going with Fred is, come on, at one point I think we all hated this guy. Every United fan did at one point, because he kind of was not fitting into the system, and we all understand, right? Like when a player comes in with when we spend so much money on one player and he's not able to do it for like one whole season, uh, it kind of gets very frustrating for the fans to bear with him. But it took him time, but he managed to adjust to United, and he even talking about consistency. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been absolutely magnificent, but at the same time, Fred has been right up there as well. Offensively, not that much. He's been more into the defensive duties, but I think he's all over the place, and we've seen in some of the big matches this season against Tottenham, again in both the games against Manchester City. I think he's been absolutely top class. And of course, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Rashford, these are names which I did not mention specifically. But if I have to go for another name, I think it definitely has to be Harry Maguire. I mean, these lunatic fanboys from other clubs, I will not mention one particular club, but these guys, they just pick snippets of one slip up, one mistake from the guy, and they end up ruining his image so bad. Harry Maguire has, I think he's had the best season among all the centre backs we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. Actually, if you really have to ask me, he's been absolutely magnificent, and statistically, he's right up there with Virgil van Dijk, and even better one-on-one in a few statistics. So this is one area not a lot of people are actually concentrating on. A lot of people are talking about Soyuncu, a lot of people are talking about Van Dijk, of course, and Joe Gomez. But I think Harry Maguire has been right up there among the best centre backs this season, and I think he would be one of the picks as well.
Yes, Fred and Harry, very good choices, Anurag. I'm glad that at the start of the season, I was the first guy probably that you knew who started wearing a Harry Maguire jersey, and people were like, "No, he's not going to do well," but probably it is my goodwill that has got him there. I'm probably going to take a bit of credit here. And talking about having your debut seasons, we have another debutant at Sound of Manchester, Shubham. Welcome to SOM. And we were talking about the player of the season so far for us. You have any different choices than the guys who have made, or would you probably have the same?
Yeah, so I was hearing most of the choices that were given, and of course, I think I have the unanimous view that Aaron Bisaka, should or probably will end up getting the, award for the best player of the season. But yeah, I was just waiting for someone to mention Fred, and I'm pretty thankful that actually Anurag did that. And that is what I feel as well. That he deserves a special mention. Considering the fact that he was hated so much last season, he faced a lot of brunt. Everyone was making fun of him. The fact that he came for big bucks from a country where the football is not so superior when it comes to English football, but when in even in times where Matic and McTominay were injured, he actually led from the front. He was actually partnering with Andres Pereira and still doing well. That speaks a lot about him, and I think definitely, he should be considered for any recognition we give for this season.
Definitely. I think Anurag preferred Fred a lot because probably his hairstyle and Fred's hairstyle is probably pretty much similar, if I'm not wrong. But yes, I think Fred has been brilliant this season. Probably I'm just the only one who's left now to talk about player of the season choices, and I have three, and I'm gonna describe them in the reverse order. Yes, Anurag, your favorite player, Fred, definitely makes my list. He's number three, and I feel his contribution has been immense. He's gone unnoticed in this team. He has been playing probably a more defensive role than he would have expected when he joined Manchester United, but he has done this well. He's had impact in big games in the Manchester derby. He's had impact in the Tottenham game. He's had impact, probably very good impact in the Europa League as well. We must not forget. So probably Fred does that. Second for me is obviously Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I cannot remember a guy almost perfecting the art of tackling, because in the recent past we see a lot of people trying to lunge into challenges and not win them. Aaron Wan-Bissaka probably wins 99% of those tackles, and just when you feel that you've gotten away from him, or probably Raheem Sterling never felt that, but just when any other player feels that you've got away from Wan-Bissaka, there comes his leg and he just stops you on the way. He's been brilliant for us, especially in the big games, and to just to improve on that, he has improved on his crossing as well throughout the season. I mean, he started the Chelsea game at Old Trafford with probably one of the worst crosses I've ever seen from a right back at Manchester United. But yeah, I think we have seen Valencia try to shoot crosses, but even Wan-Bissaka's crossing was not that good. To the cross which he put against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League for the Martial goal. So we have seen that attacking side of him evolve. Uh, for me, I'm a strikers guy, and the best player of the season for us has been Marcus Rashford, hands down. Me and Kushagr before the start of the season were having conversations about Marcus Rashford. Kushagr was not that keen on him, probably because he didn't feel he was the kind of player that would go on and score 20 goals. If you would have asked me at the start of the season, would Rashford score 20 goals? I would have been probably in a 50-50 situation myself. But I always believed in the lad. Something which he needed was the confidence to go and play well. One game that changed the season for him was when he was playing for England and he scored a goal from the left wing curling to the top right corner, and from then he scored against Liverpool at Old Trafford, and then his season just took off for a huge lift. And since then he has been scoring goals, not just scoring goals, scoring really good goals. And as Michael Owen said at the start of the season, Marcus Rashford is a scorer of great goals. Probably has scored the greatest goal this season with the free kick as well. But from that to see him evolve not to a great goal scorer, but a good goal scorer, at least for this season, and we hope that consistency remains for when he comes back. And wow, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes linking together along with Paul Pogba, and oh my god, that is something crazy. I'm not going to talk about
Yeah, I mean
players who
that's something
might
we're all
come.
looking forward to.
I am not going to talk about players who might come. They might not, considering the current financial situation of all the clubs. But even the players which we have right now, linking up with Bruno Fernandes, this is going to be fun. Uh, yeah, so probably the player of the season for most was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and so our united opinion on it is going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
But
So
you know what the best part is though. Like every season before this, at least most seasons, we had either one or two choices.
yeah,
But this is like I don't remember the last time where we had at least three, four, or five choices per player of the season. To be honest, this is that shows progress in my opinion. So
And at least it's not
good
De
to see.
Gea.
yeah,
At least it's not here. It's not your goalkeeper
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they gave it out of pity to Luke Shaw last year, and the only other player in the last 7-8 years to win was Herrera, and
Yeah.
the way he was
Even that was
treated
a
was a
pity
crime.
one.
and
Yeah.
honestly,
No,
one of the reasons I think Fred is coming on our list so much is Herrera's absence. Because
yes, yes,
if you think
Yeah.
of it, like the role which Herrera would have played,
Yeah.
I mean, we all expected Herrera to play that same role better than Fred, which is why Fred wasn't initially getting game time. That's one of the reasons he was getting so much hate in the first place. That you're a 50 million bench warmer. And moreover, he was the immediate next signing, if I'm not wrong, to Alexis Sanchez. And
Yeah.
correct me if I'm
yes,
wrong.
yes,
So,
yes,
like,
yes.
immediately the next signing was Fred. So, one of the reasons he was getting so much hate from our own fans in the first place was because of his lack of game time due to his presence. And Herrera, honestly, I love that guy's intent. One of the only people, like, he was somebody who showed similar intent to what Wan Bissaka is showing right now, what Bruno is showing right now. That guy's intent is unparalleled. But then, I really like, him leaving. If it's allowed Fred to develop so much, I'm actually happy with that trade-off.
If you remember that 3-2 match United won at the Etihad, there is a famous picture of Herrera spitting at the City match. I mean, that just says everything about that guy. I
Yeah.
mean, he
Like it was like
it
on
was
the badge, like when
yeah, he was standing on the badge and spitting on it. Like,
correct.
He's
Yeah,
one
so
of the most loved
we probably
United
moved
guys.
from the
I love
player of the
that,
season to the player of the last season, maybe. So yeah, I think
Okay, since
that
we're
is
talking about player of the season to player of last season, how about this? Another name which a lot of you had thrown around was Marcus Rashford. And since let's just talk about Marcus Rashford of this season versus Marcus Rashford of the previous season. Would you prefer a Marcus Rashford on the flank or in the center as an upfront striker? What do you do?
flank,
I think in the
He's
center.
lethal. He's lethal both ways. Which one do you prefer?
flank.
I think
flank.
I think he
Left
plays
winger.
in I think he plays in a front three which is fluid, which none of the
Yeah.
three sit in the same position. I think
Actually,
that he's an attacker in the truest of sense. I think he can play left, right, and I think he can even play center, in my opinion. So I think a system where all three of them are moving and fluid is the best thing for him, Martial, and probably Sancho.
So this is our
Don't take that name. Don't take that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Let's not go
jinxing
there.
it. We're jinxing it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh,
So thank you guys.
Dan
Thank you
James, Dan
everyone.
James.
Another special mention name which I had from my side was a player who has not been a part of United squad, but he is a member of Manchester United, a player of Manchester United on the payroll. Dean Henderson has probably been our lone player of the season. So
Yeah.
special
that goes without
congratulations to
saying.
him.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good competition next season, whether we have De Gea or Henderson or whoever. So thank you guys. It was great being a part of this first video podcast for Sound of Manchester. You can keep liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting on our posts, as well as since we have been doing such great job, you can give us your suggestions to what we can do to improve. And thank you guys. Glory, glory, Man United, and keep watching. Thank you.